Welcome back to the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling podcast. I'm Will. That's Brandon. As always, let's cheers. Let's talk some wrestling, huh?
What a week. What a week in wrestling we got to get into.
What a week. We're currently filming this mere about 20 minutes after King of the Ring just wrapped up.
Yeah.
So I guess spoiler warnings. We are going to do our King, Queen of the Ring review, aka just our overall thoughts on it.
Yep.
Have a good episode today. We're going to start. We did not do a SmackDown pop or drop this week just based on how fast the turnaround was to King of the Ring. So we are going to add a brief SmackDown pop or drop for the beginning segment. But the bulk of our podcast today will be our King and Queen of the Ring reviews. And then we will do the fantasy match of the week brought to you by Mr. Brandon this week after a very controversial pop or drop from the previous week.
One I'm very excited about. I haven't made up my mind yet on which side. And as time goes on, I guess we'll see which side I go on. But It's going to be a good one. I think it'll be a good debate.
Good. Well, let's get right into it then. Our SmackDown pop and drop from this week's episode from Saudi. It was a show that showed on network in, at least where we are, Kansas, at normally scheduled time, 7 Central here. But as I had alluded to you during the day, I was like, okay, all the socials are already showing what's happening online. Yeah. I don't know how they're getting this feed. I couldn't find it. I know I'm kind of a noob. I don't know how to find that stuff online, but we watched it at the normal time, which made it so that getting a SmackDown pop or drop was pretty much impossible for us if we wanted to get both these out.
Yeah, and I don't think, admittedly, if we were able to find it earlier, I don't think we would have wanted to put it out. I wouldn't want to put something out ahead of time and maybe spoil it for a few people here or there, but it was nice to watch it at the normal time. But yeah, definitely a little weird to see some of the stuff come out beforehand at like 2 or 3.
Yeah, so we're going to do a pop or drop. It's going to be very quick. Just hit on the main points that happened of SmackDown. It was kind of a cool episode. Obviously it's in Saudi, as I just alluded to, but it started off hot with Bianca and Nia Jax getting their match out of the way. Bianca basically worked her knee injury the entire time, which she was still able to get big spots off on Nia Jax throughout the match, made her look strong still. But it was one of those things where the buildup from all the damage she had been taking eventually just overtook her body. She went for the KOD on Nia Jax and her knee gave out, leading to Nia Jax immediately getting her finish off in the corner. Nia Jax moves on to the Queen of the Ring. I'm going to go ahead and pop this. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll give it a pop. I think Bianca obviously is one of the top women in WWE, as everybody can kind of agree. Nia's been steadily improving. I've been pretty surprised at her run this time. Mm-hmm. I don't think much is different from a character-wise standpoint, but overall, there's something about it this run, at least, that I'm enjoying her in-ring a little bit better. I think she's been a little bit smoother in the ring.
I completely agree. Nia, and obviously we just watched King of the Ring, so if you've seen that and you're watching this for that reason, you know what happens. But Nia's definitely, she's past the downhill slope of her career and now is working her way back up, and it's very apparent in her in-ring work and her character work overall. Anyway, we move on. Grayson Waller did the Grayson Waller Effect show, where it was just him and his partner Austin Theory and his partner in A-Town Down Under, their tag team that they have.
It was a tongue twister, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. But eventually Carmelo Hayes comes on out, basically talks about, he starts shit talking everything, basically. LA Knight then comes out. You think, oh, is this going to lead to an LA Knight Carmelo Hayes team up? Nope, opposite. They start attacking each other. Eventually, the Street Profits come out. It leads to a 6-man tag team match between the Street Profits and LA Knight, taking on the tag team champions A-Town Down Under with Carmelo Hayes. And Grayson Waller gets pinned here by LA Knight. Oh, no, by Montez Ford. I apologize.
Yeah, with the splash,
Yeah, the Street Profits and LA Knight win. This was fun. I'll give it a pop, I guess. LA Knight is hot overseas. They all, this high-flying action, good old tag team stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and drop this one.
Oh.
I understand why you...
He hates LA Knight.
Yeah. So I wouldn't go that far. I understand you want to have some of the young talent kind of get some airtime. I feel like there's a better way to do it. I'm not a big fan of the Grayson Waller talk show, I understand like Jericho had one and Miz had one and Piper had one. Like some of these bigger names obviously had one. So I get what you're trying to do there. I just wish there was a little bit more focus on the tag team itself, as I've told you off camera. I think that Waller and Theory are kind of the modern day Edge and Christian in a sense of they're the young guys. They're kind of like goofy in a sense. They're obviously heel and they haven't been able to get over the way Edge and Christian did of, man, these guys are really awesome, 5-second pose type thing. But I think that's kind of what they're trying to go for.
Yeah, but is that their is that that's not because of them. Having they can't have the time focus on just them as a tag because the WWE and SmackDown in general doesn't have any other tag teams. So you have to give them action in some form. And this was a way to give them action in some form, but also include some names that aren't normally in tag teams, big time names like LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes, who they're obviously trying to push big time, and get the Street Profits back on screen. So it it gets everybody involved.
Yeah, it gets everybody involved. I guess I just would like to see more focus on maybe building the tag team division up. I don't know what that looks like specifically, but you obviously, like you said, you want to have Knight and Carmelo out there because they're going to obviously feud here, and Street Profits, assumably, are going to be the A-Town down under challengers here. I'm just not a big Street Profits fan also, so maybe that's what swayed it.
I just think we haven't seen enough of any of them. Let's try to build this tag team division up somehow, some way. It's kind of an overarching issue in WWE as a whole. Let's build some tag teams up. Let's get some good matches going. Let's go.
Yeah, and I that's fun. One last point, I guess, would be I don't know if I would have Waller maybe taking the pin. Maybe it could have been a guy like Carmelo who
I agree.
It doesn't really have anything to lose.
This is the first time that they've had action since Mania, and he is immediately taking a pin. Don't like that. Anyway, we move on to the Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul segment, which basically revolved around the point of in their press conference in Saudi, Logan Paul gave his brass knuckles to Michael Cole. He basically said, I know that this has been a crutch to me throughout my career. I'm giving these to you to tell you I will not be using these. I'm going to beat Cody good old fashioned. Anyway, here comes SmackDown. They both get in the ring together, and Cody Rhodes goes, you know what? I think that you're basically a piece of shit enough to have another pair of brass knuckles on you right now. Logan Paul is like, whatever. Logan and Cody Rhodes goes, you know what? We're going to search you. They bring in the ref, who Logan's like, what are you, TSA?
Yeah, TSA. Nice solid line.
Oh, dude, he's great. Anyway, they find brass knuckles, and that leads to Cody Rhodes basically saying, no one believes in you. Everybody thinks you're cosplaying. You're a YouTuber cross-playing as a wrestler, but I do believe you're a wrestler, but this type of stuff will not fly. This will hold you back all your life. I thought this segment did a pretty good job. I'm going to pop this as well. I think Logan Paul is just phenomenal on the mic, and this did more for me than the contract signing for the rivalry.
Yeah, admittedly, I did not like the contract signing. I dropped that last week. I'm going to go ahead and pop this one. It's nice to see them kind of build up a little bit around the brass knucks because admittedly, that is kind of Logan's crutch for a little bit. It's nice to see Cody cut a decent promo that's not just like my dad was Dusty Rhodes and to
I'm
go
the underdog.
Exactly. And so that was nice. It's also nice to have Cody talk about the doubt that Logan kind of faces a little bit because as we've talked about off camera as well, there is a little bit of the segment of the WWE fans that don't like Logan because he is an outsider. Yeah. So I do think he is just there for the fame and the spotlight. So it was nice to kind of touch on that as well. And like you said, Logan's great.
Yeah.
And he's one of the top few guys on a mic right now.
Yeah. Anyway, we would move on. Not going to pop or drop this one. I just want to mention it. Bayley took on Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. It was a standard match. They gave Chelsea Green some good time. Honestly, Chelsea Green got more action and more offense than Bayley, but Bayley gets the win here. Post-match, Piper Niven comes out and squashes the hell out of Bayley, so maybe we're getting that rivalry up next, which is, if I had to pop or drop this, I'd say drop. I think every time Bayley's had the title, they really haven't done much with it, and so far, more of the same here. So,
yeah. I agree real quick. I think that we've talked about how good the women's division is.
Yeah.
And not necessarily trying to offend Piper, but she hasn't really had any sort of push or character development
this is
or
out of
anything.
nowhere.
So it's just kind of like a random person. I get you want to build those people up, but you don't build them up by throwing them in with the champ right away. There's somebody else that we could have probably picked.
Correct.
But
or Chelsea Green, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, but it'll be something, I guess.
Real quick, AJ Styles had a backstage segment with Nick Aldis where he was basically kind of begging to be included into the title scene here with Cody and Logan. And Nick Aldis looked at him and said, dude, I can't give you what you want. And AJ Styles, or Nick Aldis then said, you just got to give this time. AJ Styles come back and said, Nick, I don't have much time. And that was kind of the end of that. Nick saying, I can't do it, man. Just something to look forward to, I guess, for AJ Styles. What's next for AJ Styles is a big question, and he's great. So it's a storyline that I'm ready to follow.
Yeah, it'll be nice. I don't really know where it's going to go or what the end result's going to be, but to have AJ, who admittedly has said multiple times, I don't have much time left. Yeah, it's nice to see that on screen a little bit and push
because it works.
Yeah, push that narrative that, hey, you guys need to care about me because I don't have too much time. So we'll see where it goes. It'll lead to some great matches.
We love AJ Styles. Give AJ Styles something. He's great. Win-win for everybody. Randy Orton versus Tama Tonga in their semifinal match. Tama Tonga comes out. I just want to touch on the pre-match antics that happened before it panned to Solo outside. And Paul Heyman's like, dude, we're in Saudi. And it's just me, you, and Tama because I couldn't even get Tongaloa into the country because these guys that you recruited to the bloodline are way too dangerous. There's a reason that we didn't recruit these guys sooner because they're too dangerous. What are we doing here? And Solo Sikoa looked at Paul Heyman and was like, you know what? I am the tribal chief until Roman comes back. These are the guys I want. And that's kind of that. That's kind of what he was giving off. Tama Tonga then kind of got in his face and was like, yeah, you're right. I am dangerous and I'm going to be king. That was some good stuff. I'll pop just that overall. But then we get to the match, obviously, and Tama Tonga comes out. He's crawling on the ground out to out from the back. So he's giving off this like dog with rabies vibe almost. He's crazy. Gotta love it. I like it. Anyway, throughout the match, Solo and them try to get involved. Back and forth happens. I'm making this short because we want to get to the King of the Ring final stuff, but Randy ends up hitting the RKO. Randy gets to move on to the final match over Tama Tonga against Gunther at King of the Ring. Good stuff. We love Randy. Pop.
Yeah, it was a good match. Nice to see him get the win here. Bloodline stuff, we've admitted, I think has been pretty good. Kind of a lull there for a little bit, and I understand why some people maybe don't like it. But it's nice to see the Paul Heyman effect and bringing this up about, hey, these guys are dangerous, and Paul really doing his best to get some talent over. I don't know if they're obviously ready on a mic to do that themselves, so it's nice to have Paul compliment it. Maybe care about the match a little bit more. Intrigued to see what happens with that going forward now.
Yeah, I agree with that comment, as in, like, I don't like them having a specific goal because it makes it feel like WWE is going to do whatever they can to get them as close to the goal as possible.
Yeah.
And it makes things predictable. Like, in a way, a lot of us thought, and you specifically brought up many times how the storyline, it just fits that Tama Tonga makes it to the final. And Jay losing squandered that. But you just think that because of this bloodline story arc and their goal is to be King of the Ring right now, then WWE is going to find a way to get them into that situation. And that becomes predictable. So I want them to get away from any belts, any specific goal, and just work on becoming another ridiculously dangerous faction. And that will be best for Bloodline.
Yeah, and I think they alluded to it a little bit with, hey, these guys are super dangerous, so maybe they just wreak havoc for a while. Maybe they don't have anything there specifically, and I think that would be good.
I agree.
So you can kind of build them up as, hey, these guys are super dangerous, nobody go near these guys type thing. And you don't have to maybe have them on screen as much either, so it kind of delays people maybe getting fatigued from them.
Just a bunch of raging pit bulls that everybody needs to stay away from. So, I mean, overall, pop for the episode of SmackDown. Good stuff.
Yep.
Wrestling, Raw and SmackDown lately have both been just good, and it's good. Yep. It's good stuff. Nothing to complain about. Anyway, let's move on to what people came here for, right? As I alluded to about 35 minutes ago, King and Queen of the Ring 2024 in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia came to an end. We got the notes here to talk about it. We're going to talk about all of our reactions, good and bad.
Yeah.
we'll get into it.
We'll get into it. Yeah, here we go.
Let's start the show. The show technically started off on the kickoff show, and I wanted to allude to this thing. Dom and Liv. Is this a love triangle happening a little bit? Because before the show, Liv is getting interviewed, and she basically says, you know, I'm going to beat Becky. My revenge tour is over. And then Dominique Mysterio out of nowhere. We have not seen them on TV together, right? This has been speculations over Twitter and everything else.
Yeah, there's been like the little hints, but I don't
Little
think
hints.
we've had anything.
But it's not been pointed out on camera
Right.
on wrestling. But Dominique Mysterio comes over and she goes, what are you doing here? And he goes, I think you know what I'm doing here. I flew all the way to Saudi Arabia to make sure you don't win mommy's title. That was an interesting thing that was way out of left field, especially for a kickoff show. And I was like, this is good stuff. I like this. I like this.
Yeah, I mean, you put Dom in anything. I think Dom has that ability, whether people like him or not. He's going to get some sort of reaction, which is good.
Polarizing.
Liv is everybody loves Liv right now. You get that love triangle going. Obviously, her and Rhea are going to go at each other whenever Rhea comes back.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a nice touch to have Dom just sprinkled into that. Obviously, like you said, we haven't seen it on camera yet, but to see it kind of out of left field with this, I mean, I know I wasn't thinking, hey, let's make sure Liv doesn't win the belt, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that was kind of.
They should have brought it in sooner because at that moment, that's when I finally started going, oh, maybe they're not going to give the belt to Liv. Like that was the first time this entire feud so far where I was like, maybe there are bigger plans than this. And it happened in the kickoff show randomly in some interview that probably 99% of people missed. I'm not going to lie about it.
Yeah, and you could have taken one out of the multiple segments every week of Becky and Liv and devoted something to Liv, Rhea, and Dom somehow, some way. I don't know. I'm not a writer, obviously, but you could have planted that seed a little bit sooner. But I mean, I guess it's a seed planted nonetheless.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you'll get to.
Yeah, it came up later.
At that point,
We'll get into the full part.
Just seemed too good to be true, I guess there's a point.
Anyway, the kickoff show continued. It had one match on it, one match that was bookended on the day before in SmackDown. Very quick backstage segment between Bianca Belair and Indy Hartwell led to a title match on the kickoff show tonight. We had Jade and Bianca defending their belts for the first time against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. And this was good stuff. Match basically started with Jade and Bianca. One would hit a big move, tag the other in. The other one would come in, hit a big move, tag the other one in, hit a big move. They were kind of just showcasing how much more dominant they are over these women. What ended up happening was Bianca's knee that she was injured and lost to the Queen of the Ring semifinal match because of became an injury here again. And Candice LeRae and Indy took turns working the knee, which led to a hot tag to Jade. Jade then came in and you and I thought, hot tag to Jade. She's going to come in, squash everybody real quick, be done. She did squash everybody, but got the 1-2. Candice LeRae breaks it up. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell then work more. They get some more offense in on Jade as well. So she took some hits today, took some bumps, but it ended in a very sick tag team finishing move. I don't know if they gave it a name yet, but it was a move where Jade had Candice in a German suplex, but would give her to Bianca. Bianca would take her head, DDT her, and then push her up and then put her feet on Candice and kick her up into a super German suplex from Jade. Finishing move 1, 2, 3. It was absolutely a great move. If you haven't seen it, look it up. But Jade and Bianca, their first title defense, successful. Really good stuff here.
Yeah, successful. I guess I would have thought that it would have been more of a squash match.
Yeah.
Honestly, my thoughts were have Bianca sell the knee, have Jade come in and kind of clean house a little bit. It's nice to see Indy Hartwell. I know we like Indy Hartwell. Candice LeRae, not a big fan of, but it was a good match. I mean, very surprised at some of the storytelling in there, but it was good. And like you said, that finisher, I don't know what it's called. They didn't give it a name. Yeah. Like, I don't know what they'll call it, but they did something really cool you don't see, and it's nice to see a tag team finisher kind of come back.
Yep.
You sometimes get to see some things, but it's like the Uso, they both do a splash or something. But to have something specific to them that it's like, man, nobody else could really do this type of thing. That's really nice to see.
It was awesome. What would you give it? What name would you give it?
No
On the spot.
No idea. We're not doing this.
On the
No
spot.
idea. Can't do it.
Yeah, I got no idea.
Mm-hmm.
I got no idea.
I can't name moves like that. You know,
Yeah.
just not doing. That's not my cup of tea.
Yeah, me either. The wrestling moves are ridiculously named as is.
They'll think of something from the flight back, and it'll be a really cool name that somehow goes into the gimmick. And
yeah,
it was fine.
Anyway, good title defense on the kickoff show. We love to see that. And we moved on over. Show starts with Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan, the rivalry of the decade to start the show.
Maybe the century.
The century, at least.
I mean, you got Austin Rock, Hogan Savage.
Yep.
Liv Becky.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, Becky and Liv for the Women's World Championship. They don't call it the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. At least that's what they labeled it as. Becky and Liv, obviously they're in Saudi, so they have to wear full garb. And Becky is dressed in a suit and a hat.
Yeah,
I know you didn't really like it.
Maybe you guys, the wrestling community, know something that I don't know, and there's some sort of hidden. She was playing this person and doing this because of this. It was weird to me. I didn't like it.
Becky was dressed for business in a suit, and Liv brought her Saudi outfit out from last year. Her Britney Spears "Hit Me Baby One More Time" outfit, full red. Anyway, it was.
So does that mean Becky's like Justin Timberlake or something?
Gotta be. We're gonna call
Kevin
it that.
Federline or something.
Yes, it's the Kevin Federline look. Anyway, it was fast paced, back and forth to start. Ended with Liv being in control, middle of the match. The crowd was very, very hot for Becky here. Not many chants for Liv, at least not what she would have got here in America. Becky was very, very over there. We then had a manhandle slam reversed into a kick to the face from Liv. We then had a scoop slam into the disarm her, and then Liv reversed the disarm her into her own arm bar, whatever it's called, the Ring of Saturn, as you said it was.
Yeah, shout out Perry Saturn and Moppy.
And then it happened. Dominique Mysterio shows up, and everybody in the arena and everybody at home were sitting there like, no idea what's about to happen here. He said he was here to screw Liv over, but we've seen everything on Twitter and everything. If you're a wrestling fan who follows socials at COD WrestlePod, over the past month, you've seen the people think that Liv and Dom have been maybe seeing each other behind closed doors here.
Yeah, little tidbits here and there.
Yeah. So anyway, Dom slides a chair in toward Becky for Becky to hit Liv with. So he slides the chair toward Becky, goes to the opposite side of the ring to distract the ref. So he gets up on the apron to distract the ref so that Becky would have time to pick up the chair and hit Liv with it. Yeah. But Becky is also confused because we haven't seen Dom at all in this feud.
Right.
Liv then walks over, kicks Becky in the gut, DDTs her onto the chair, and then hits her with her finish. Liv gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Liv is your new Women's World Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah, it's the right call. You get to plant seeds for the next rivalry. I won't go on too much into this. I think it's obviously, like I said, the right call. You plant seeds in the Rhea Liv thing. Well, I guess we'll see what happens in terms of Dom and Liv now. But good move, good call. I don't know what they do with Becky now. I mean, obviously, I guess Valkyria maybe tag team.
Yeah,
it was a good match.
Yeah, what you should do is you have great women's tag team champions. So put Liv and Lyra Valkyria together. We'll get to her a little bit later. Or sorry, Becky and Lyra Valkyria together. The Irish last kickers, I guess. I don't know, but
the last kickers, that's the name right there.
Yeah, but have them do that, and that's a real star name in the tag team division. You give Liv this belt, but now I really, 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 really liked this booking because if it would have ended with just Liv on top after the rivalry that happened all the way up until the moment Dom stepped into this, then you go, yeah, that was expected. Now what? Now you go, yeah, that was expected, but really now what? Like, what is this Dom stuff? Yeah. And how soon can Rhea come back? Like, what? Yeah. What are we doing here? It's interesting. This is a good move.
Yeah, and I think Rhea was out for a few months. I couldn't
Right.
tell you how long
Yeah.
exactly, but it's interesting because of all those seeds they've planted about live with the bandana and them in the same room and leave in different times
Yeah.
and all those different things. So like you said, it's almost as if they're seeing each other like on the side, but why would Dom do that? And
Yeah.
da, da, da. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens, but it's definitely an intriguing storyline.
Anyway, the age of Liv is finally here. Give her the belt. Give her a long title reign until Leah Aria comes back. And this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Needed to happen.
Yeah.
We then moved on. Let me flip this old school notebook page. We had Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable and Bronson Reed. And this match tore the house down. We really, really enjoyed that here.
Yeah.
We have just given the people at home just the overall look. We have people come over for these things. A lot of them aren't actually wrestling fans. They watch just when they're here to watch with us. They love doing it. It's really cool to have to get their input in when they don't watch weekly.
Yep.
It's a lot of fun, and everybody loved this match. So that's how you know it's good. People who aren't wrestling fans were really cheering this one on. Anyway, Gable comes out with Maxine and Otis, but he turns to Maxine right away and calls her a failure and sends her to the back. So we're continuing him thinking everybody in the Alpha Academy is a bunch of failures.
Mm-hmm.
He sends Maxine in the back. Crowd here was very, very hot for Sami Zayn. They love themselves some Sami Zayn. And early on in the match, Bronson Reed came out looking strong as he should. That should have been the thing. 2 little guys, 1 big guy. Big guy normally has to get targeted from all guys.
Yep.
I have in here a lot of green, and my green means big spots. They were good stuff. We had a Sami Zayn power bomb, Sami Zayn power bombs Bronson Reed off the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
Bronson Reed was doing some athletic stuff tonight. It was really a Bronson Reed showcase. It really was.
Yeah, I admittedly like Bronson Reed in ring. I think you do as well.
Yeah.
I know some people on social media don't. I guess I get that because he doesn't have a character.
Mhm.
But in the ring, he's very good.
Yeah.
And he can move like some of the lightweight guys, but he's strong enough to do some of the big time moves that you need from a big guy. It's just nice to see somebody that kind of can be like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, he looks like a guy that is imposing and doesn't need to move, yet moves like a guy who can do whatever he wants off the top rope.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty shocking. But yeah, the Sami Zayn powerbomb was nice. Like you said, some Bronson Reed show here.
Yeah, I mean, they did this cool spot where Sammy was laying down in the center of the ring, and Bronson Reed went up to the top rope to do a moonsault, and he did a moonsault. Sami Zayn rolled to his right to get out of the way of the Bronson moonsault, but Gable was ready with his own moonsault, hit him. That was so good.
Yeah.
So good. The entire match, they were teasing an Otis run-in. They would pan to Otis. Otis was on the outside, just kind of like picking his moment. Before the match, Gable had looked at Otis and said, stick to the plan. When the time is right, do it. So the time just wasn't right yet. Anyway, Gable then would do the double German suplex to both Bronson Reed and
which
Sami
we were
Zayn,
hoping for.
which
I
we
mean,
called last
hoping
podcast.
for
We were
that.
hoping and praying for it. It was as spectacular as we thought. Then Otis would get involved. The time was right. It's a triple threat match, so no DQs, which makes this easy. It doesn't need to be sketchy.
Right.
Otis would first take out Bronson Reed, just a simple clothesline, but it was deep in the match. Everybody was hurt, so big sell on the outside of the ring. He would then go to do it to Sammy, but it was in his head. He wouldn't do it. Gable would then slap Otis, tell him, you're not going to do nothing in terms of hitting Gable. He was like, what are you going to do? You're not going to hit me. He would then go and hold Sammy's arms to set Otis up for a attack. Otis would run. Sammy ducked. Otis hits Gable.
Yeah. And obviously, as we go on, Sammy gets the win. And
Yeah, so finishing that off, Otis hits Gable. Sammy then gets Bronson into the ring, hits Bronson with the haluva kick. Sammy 1, 2, 3. He retains the IC title. So yeah, then go on with what you were about to say.
Yeah, it's not even to me, I guess, that Sammy won the title. I do disagree with that, but I guess now my question obviously is, where do we go from here with the Alpha Academy?
Yep.
I think that's everybody's question. It's interesting to me to not give Gable the title.
Yeah.
I don't know where any of, or I guess I should say either Bronson Reed or Sammy go from here. I don't know where those two go, but obviously you know that Gable's going to start having that fallout with Otis now. I wish it was something maybe a little bit more. I know that they're friends. I know that they built this academy together. They're super strong. That's like the teacher to the student, master to the student. But it would have nice to see Gable get that win, get that title.
Yep.
He deserves it. Now I just feel like eventually we're going to go down the line. We're going to get the turn, and Gable's just going to have Alpha Academy get destroyed by the Creed brothers.
Yeah.
It seems like that's maybe the likely scenario. It almost seems too simple.
Yeah.
I kind of need a little bit more substance.
Yeah.
On that side of things.
You know, to start my comments on a positive, this match was a banger.
Yeah.
All right.
Great match.
Like Sammy, Chad, and Bronson put on an absolute show. And anybody who is still on the fence of Bronson Reed needs to not be. I get that they haven't given him as much on-screen character as they need to, but when you have so much confidence in the ring like he does, let's just little at a time add some character and things will work out. But in terms of how I think they go from here, yeah, Sammy keeping the belt is the least interesting thing that could have happened. Because as enticing as a Gable and Otis match is, it is one of those matches that would be much more enticing with actual stakes on the line. Like, are they going to fight over the Alpha Academy leadership? Is that what it's going to be? Because that's, It's one of those things where I then bring up who we were watching this with. We were watching with people who aren't regular wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm.
It's way easier for them to get involved and invested into a match when there's a guy that has a belt around his waist and there's that, which if Gable is then leading this Alpha Academy collapse with a belt around his waist and there's the Creed brothers involved, then you have the Creed brothers right here, Alpha Academy, and then you have the champion right here. And that's just a much cleaner triangle of issues to deal with. So I'm kind of with you. I don't really know where any of this goes. Obviously, we're going to get a Gable-Otis feud, but I don't know.
And I think some people might push back and say maybe you don't need the belt because that storyline is so good.
Yeah.
And I do understand that there's a time and place for a belt, but it just makes more sense for Gable to have that belt. I guess Gable doesn't win it this time. When does Gable ever get the belt?
Well, what you alluded to was there's no clear path for Sammy, so why does he really need to keep the belt on him? Let's just give the belt to Gable right now and let that main storyline play through the belt, and then you can maybe lead a guy to having a belt like Otis having the IC title, which would be a shot that nobody thought anybody would ever see after his initial run a couple years ago of being popular.
Yeah, I don't really know, like we've both mentioned, I don't know where Sammy goes. I don't know where the IC title goes. And I would say maybe that's a problem with me, just why I don't necessarily like Sammy is I don't think he should still have the belt. He's just kind of like a meh character to me. He was really good in the Bloodline, and I think everybody would agree with that. But on his own, it's just kind of like I don't really care to a sense.
I agree. Anyway, the match was great. We'll trust WWE's process and good old Paul Levesque to see
things are good. So let's just keep trusting it.
We then had our Queen of the Ring final match, Lyra Valkyria and Nia Jax. What we alluded to, if you follow us on socials at COD Russell Pod, Triple H this weekend announced that the winners of the King and Queen of the Ring finals matches will get matches, which we then later found out would be at SummerSlam.
Yes.
So that's great. Wish they would have announced that a little bit beforehand, but it's great no matter what. I'm not complaining. Anyway, Nia and Lyra make their way to the ring. Lyra's she had big old wings. Cool stuff. We love it. Match starts with Lyra she kind of had the upper hand on Nia, so she was doing a bunch of her moves, but she just couldn't move Nia. So all of her moves that she relies on with everybody else just wouldn't work here. And that led to like what is she going to do? Anyway, that led to Nia dominating most of the match because Lyra couldn't get any of her moves off. Nia would then go for her finish. I'm gonna call it the butt splash. I don't know what it's called.
Nia's finish?
Yeah,
Annihilator.
the Annihilator. Okay,
Yeah. It's got her name in there.
that's actually a phenomenal name for her finish. I like that a lot.
Yeah, very solid.
Yeah, Nia goes for the Annihilator on the apron because Lyra, she would go for the Annihilator on the ropes, but Lyra would smartly roll it to the outside of the apron to get away from the ring, and Nia would then climb up, try to do it onto the apron on the outside of the ring. She missed. Very cool stuff. Then later on in the match, Lyra would reverse it again, the Annihilator again, and she would turn it into a coup de grace. Coup de grace. Very cool stuff. Love that.
Yeah, where she kicked Nia's foot
Yeah, she like
from the rope.
really kicked it too. If you watch the
right in the Achilles, you know?
yeah, right in the Achilles. Anyway, later on in the match, Nia
Welcome to Chili's.
yeah, right in the Achilles. And later in the match, Nia would get up to the top rope again to do the Annihilator again. Lyra would get up and would go to try to powerbomb her off the top rope, and she would struggle to get her, struggle to get her. And then Nia just said, screw it. I'm not letting you powerbomb me. I'm going to do my Annihilator anyways. And just sat off the top rope directly onto Lyra. And it looked nasty. If you watch it from the angle WWE showed, and it's probably online, Corey Graves in the back, you can see him, leaps out of his seat, hands behind his head, like, holy shit, what just happened?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, Nia gets the win. She's your queen of the ring. She'll go on to SummerSlam to face Bayley, right? Because she's on, she's on Raw. No, Nia's on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Nia's on SmackDown. So Bayley, yes. The match was great. And this was a great finish. So
yeah, the match was, like you said, good. Nice to showcase Valkyria a little bit. Good to see Nia out there again. Nia's got some really good in-ring work, like we alluded to earlier. The finish, I mean, that's the takeaway.
Dude,
just
so good.
Just so strong, and just, I'm going to overpower you. And just, I mean, it takes some guts for Valkyria to take that. I mean, that is just full trust.
Nasty.
With somebody who admittedly injures people in the ring previously.
Yeah.
To have that sort of trust, like, you know what? Let's just hope that things go right here.
Yeah, and you got to think, like, how much of that is Lyra's great work doing, right? Like, she did that to perfection. I haven't seen anything online of her being injured from it. Like, it looked fun. It looked nasty, but looked phenomenal in terms of, like, if they got that off clean with everybody being no injury, that's as good as it gets. Anyway, what do you think about an eventual Nia versus Bayley match at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it earlier in the day when off camera with our friends all here.
Yeah.
I think Nia goes and takes on Bayley, obviously, and I think she gets the win.
Ugh.
As much as I probably don't agree with that, I think we all love Bayley. I think everybody likes Bayley. They haven't done anything with Bayley. There's been no real storyline development.
That's my problem with it. Yep.
Anything there, and they always just seem to do that with Bayley. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
Nia, you can at least have her be like a dominant heel where maybe you don't have to do anything with. You can just kind of have that title go off to the side, and you can really focus on maybe the Rhea Liv thing. So maybe you put all your eggs in one basket there. Like, we're going to focus really hard on this one. This one, you just go be a dominant heel.
Well, that's kind of what they've done so far since Mania, is just focus on the Raw Women's title, the World Heavyweight Championship, whatever they call it. But yeah, I hope not. I hope Bayley and Nia then get SummerSlam's not till August, which is a few months away, and there doesn't need to be another Bayley match title defense until then, which means you have multiple months to really build something here. Yep. Build it good. Nia is doing great Nia is doing the best in-ring work of her career. And Bayley has been on the sidelines for a while here. She had the match against Chelsea Green last night, but nothing too special. These guys are both fresh. Nia's got momentum. Do something good here. Build a good rivalry. They have their that's their goal. Do it. No excuses.
Yeah, and that's the important thing. There is time on their side, so there is a chance for them to really build this up and really be nice. So it'll be nice to give a feud some legs and some strength for a little bit of time. Anyway,
the King and Queen of the Ring PLE started off hot. It was great.
Yeah.
And then we came to Gunther versus Randy Orton. And this was what most people thought it would be, I would say. Randy did a very, very long entrance. Man, they were eating him up in Saudi, man. It was like a 7-8 minute entrance. Not even lying. I mean, he was going corner to corner, hitting his his pose.
Corner to corner, side to side, down the ramp. I mean, just soaking it all in.
He really was. It kind of felt like a retirement match.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not, but they gave him the time here. Woo!
Man, my big feet taking the
This
podcast
guy
out.
just taking out all the equipment, huh?
Golly. Story of my life, I guess, huh?
Anyway, the match started off pretty slow back and forth. They were trying to, kind of trying to work each other, see, how to get the momentum on one another.
Right.
Lots of submission maneuvers, long holds to start the match. Randy did this fun thing where he tried to see how many chops he could take. Gunther hit him with, I think 3 chops in a row, and he would get hit, and Randy would kind of circle the ring, and he got 3 through, and then on the 4th one, caught him, which was kind of a cool spot. They went to the outside of the ring. Randy got to drop him on the table a couple times.
Signature,
At this point, it really is a signature. Randy's just going to drop you on the outside of the ring every single match. What else do I have here in the notes? Oh, yeah. Randy went for his snap power slam, which he does off the rope. If you don't know what that is, it's when he throws, guy comes up the rope and Randy kind of scoops him.
You got the clap.
Yeah, he claps. He kind of puts one arm between his legs, one arm over his neck, and does like a 180 slam on him. It's one of his signature Randy Orton moves, but he misses it and hurts his back. And he already hurt his knee from previous night's SmackDown. And now he's working a knee injury and a lower back injury that Gunther would then target for a long time throughout the match. Smartly, right? Anyway, we got Randy would then hit an RKO. Clean. Boom. RKO. Goes for the pin. 1, 2. Gunther kicks out. And when Gunther kicks out, Randy's back spasms or triggers. Ow, 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 I'm in pain. Gunther would then sit up, grab one of his arms, and use his leg to grab his other arm, pull him over for a roll-up pin. Gets the 1, 2, 3, but if you see this online or if you go look for it, Randy's shoulder was way above the mat here, not even close. Gunther gets the win. He's now your king of the ring. Will go on to SummerSlam to fight the winner of Damian versus Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. Anyway, this was a great match, but the end of it was really, really a bummer. You can't hate on it, but yeah.
Yeah, you can't hate on it because they are humans at the end of the day. Yeah. They're performers. I get it. Things happen. Things happen throughout the match that we probably don't even notice are mistakes.
Yeah.
To have it be the finish sucks. I mean, it's kind of like the Mania Ronda Rousey roll up to an extent. Great job getting through the match. Great job by Gunther, Randy, both in ring top guys right now. Gunther as a whole, excited to have him be that king of the ring.
Yeah.
See what happens. Much deserved. Randy, you see him get helped out by referees and Kevin Owens at the end. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he's not there next week, or who knows what happens. Maybe him and Owens do something. I don't know.
That's what I foresee. I foresee Randy and Kevin Owens getting involved in a tag team, which would be good stuff.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Yeah.
But, to give Gunther that king of the ring and to have him get that eventual title shot, we'll talk about it for months and months and months, what we think will happen. It's going to be a 5-star match, with whichever one he's in.
Yeah, I mean, way too early thoughts here, but is it time to give Gunther a world championship at SummerSlam? Like for whoever wins at Clash of the Castle, whether it be Damian or Drew, most likely Drew versus Gunther will slap. That will be maybe match of the night. But I've already been on camera and on our podcast saying that while I am kind of sick of long title reigns, if you're going to give a long title reign to somebody, man, it's the King General, Gunther. I mean, do they give him a belt at SummerSlam?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at it this way, you have, like I said, we're going on a tangent because that's what we do here. You have Drew beat Priest, and Priest can go off feud with the Judgment Day. You don't need them around the title scene necessarily. Drew has the belt. They go on take off SummerSlam. So now you have Gunther beat him, and then Punk can come back and fight Drew. That's not around the belt. You can do something that way.
What's interesting is that I'm just going on a Gunther tangent because I love this guy, but it's interesting that he's no longer going to the ring with anybody. Like they really are establishing him as being a singular threat. This is the king now, the ring general. Gunther, he is as bad as they come. There's absolutely, it's like the opposite of Roman toward the middle reign of his title reign, where, like Imperium could be getting involved here, but instead, what's happened to Imperium lately? They kicked the guy out. I forget his name.
Giovanni Vinci.
Sorry, I'm bad with names like that. But they destroyed Giovanni, and Ludwig is kind of doing his own thing, calling out Sheamus. Like, Gunther is basically doing this by himself now. Dude, he's ready.
Yeah, and I guess one last point on that. It was always interesting for him to come to the ring with them, but for the most part, they come to the ring, they do the entrance, and then, they didn't really get involved.
Yeah.
Not that I can remember.
No, yeah, you're right.
So he's kind of been on his own.
Yeah.
But to have him, just the visual side of it, you're like, okay, this is the guy now.
And before, we talked about, when we had the other people here who haven't seen Gunther very much, we've talked about how phenomenal Gunther is. And at the end of the match, they were kind of giving us the impression of, that was a good match, but, you guys kind of hyped him up. And I think that was much more Randy's pace and Gunther's pace, because, like, even Monday against Jay, Gunther proved he can work a pace. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've seen some things on the internet side as well where people maybe think Gunther works a little too slow. I think in this day and age, it's nice to have somebody work a little too slow, if that's how you want to view it, and break things down, because everything is so fast paced with everybody else. It kind of takes it and breaks it into its own category of, hey, like, this guy can really slow things down. This guy's really kind of deliberate and, like, diabolical. He slows things down and he makes it look so good. It just means so much more.
Yeah, I completely agree. Then we moved on. We moved on to our main event of the night. It's been a great show so far, apart from the Gunther and Randy kind of sloppy finish. Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul for only the WWE Undisputed World title, not the U.S. title from Logan Paul. It's a one title only. Nah. Anyway, before the match, just pointing this out for no reason at all. It totally won't come up later because that would be stupid. Guy named Ibrahim from Saudi. You say he's a comedian. He's some sort of...
I believe he's a comedian, yes.
He's some sort of important presence there in Saudi. He goes, I'm going to be the ring announcer for this match. And we all go, that's great.
And WWE, at least this week leading up, they announced it on social media. So,
oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I saw that they announced it, and he's been there before as a ring announcer.
Yeah, I've seen him before.
Didn't think anything too crazy of it, honestly.
Yeah, he's just a ring announcer. There's no way he could be involved in such a big title fight on one of their biggest PLEs. Anyway, we move on. He does a great job introducing the two characters.
Yes.
Michael Cole, before the match, says, look, I have the brass knuckles still here, right here, so hopefully Logan Paul does the right thing. He doesn't bring another pair because I have these. Match starts, and both guys are trying to get the advantage over each other, but neither can basically land a maneuver. It's almost like they know each other's moves. They go for the same moves. It won't land. I have a bunch of notes on this one. It was a very, very great match. Anyway, there's a cool spot where Cody does his drop punch, where he drops to the mat and throws a punch, just like his dad did. And Logan caught it, and Logan responded by saying, I'm Logan Paul, bitch. Slapped the hell out of him. They were kind of working over this whole thing of Logan knows all of Cody's moves to put over the fact that he's not a cosplaying wrestler, as the others have said. He dedicates his time to this. He does his studying. I put down just Logan Paul can go, because, man, that guy can go. Actually, before we finish this match, Logan Paul can go, man. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, anybody that disagrees with that, I don't think really watches his matches. I think maybe they see him as a celebrity. Hey, this guy's an outsider. And I understand wrestling fans' thought process to that, because it's been that way with maybe Snooki when she was like the Raw GM years ago. Things like that, right? I understand it. But Logan Paul, he was born to do this. I mean, You see him in the ring. He's phenomenal. You get a little bit of like the old school, hey, let's slow it down type thing, like wrist locks, headlocks. But you get some of the new stuff where it is kind of like a flippy acrobatic type. You get him on the mic. He's one of the best on the mic as well. I just don't really understand why people discredit Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Because in terms of heel work, he's one of the top guys right now. Whether people like it or not, maybe he's doing such a good job they don't like him. But
yeah,
phenomenal.
Us wrestling fans, as I'll say, us wrestling fans need to get over him being a celebrity. This man has obviously dedicated the time and effort into doing this. Every time he steps into the ring, it is great. Yes, he hasn't defended the U.S. title enough. Yes, there are criticisms with just the overall storylines that he's been in, and maybe you don't like his character work very much, but you cannot deny anymore that he was born to do this stuff. He's phenomenal in a ring. And he's only been put in the ring with the top talent, and he doesn't look phased. He never flops. He rises to the moment, and it's something that I think everybody needs to appreciate at this point.
Yeah, it's a great point that you say only put him with the top guys. You could very easily squander that away and and just fall flat on your face, but he doesn't. He takes that ball, he runs with it. He is one of those top guys. There's just something about him that there are some wrestlers that maybe they are wrestlers. Maybe they grew up in the industry, indies circuit, things like that. They come here, they go to cut a promo, and you're like, I don't really like that. Or match quality, you're like, I don't really like this. But every time Logan is on screen, you're finding yourself watching.
Yeah.
Whether it's, hey, I hope Cody beats the hell out of this guy. Hey, I hope Logan does something. Or what does Logan do? I mean, I know you'll get into the match a little bit, but to see the dynamic of Michael Cole from the press conference of, hey, I'm going to hand you these brass knucks. And then throughout the match, obviously, it was nice to see that interaction with him and Michael Cole. I don't know of any time recently that that's happened.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see it, something different. And you can honestly believe that Logan Paul's like, hey, this little twerp on the commentary, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And piggybacking off that, the match would then spill out to the outside. And Logan Paul, posse member 437, shows up on the outside and starts talking trash to Cody. And Cody goes and gives him a good old belly. I think it was a belly-to-belly suplex from the barricade to the outside.
Yeah.
Anyway, that gets the ref involved, and shenanigans are starting to happen. So while Cody's kind of dealing with this posse member, another posse member comes out, hands Cody pair of brass knuckles that we all saw. Hands Logan, sorry.
Yes.
Pair of brass knuckles that we all saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
And while the ref is getting the posse member, making sure he's not dead, because this is supposed to be a random civilian, right? Cody then comes and runs off the outside stairs, jumps up, and Logan gives him a good old right hook to the chest with the brass knucks. Oh no, Cody's in trouble now. Michael Cole had maybe the line of the year at this point. And after Logan uses the brass knucks, he shouts, "No, Logan! Logan signed a pre-knuck." That's what he said.
As somebody who appreciates dad humor, like that's just top tier dad humor.
It is
just off the cuff. Like, I'm sure obviously they were talked about it beforehand. Whoever came up with that line, Michael Cole wrote it in Sharpie. He highlighted it. It's in all caps. Got to have the pre-knuck. I mean, just a great call.
It might be the only note he brought. I'm saying this tonight. Logan signed a pre-knuck. Anyway, Logan would then throw Cody into the ring because I just use my brass knuckles. I can get the win here. Michael Cole would then start calling out Logan Paul, as you just alluded to. Yeah. He was kind of calling him a loser. You're a liar. You don't need to be doing this type nonsense, which was something we haven't seen in forever, as you said. Interesting, but it obviously took time, and Logan didn't get the 3 count because of it.
Right.
Cody would then put Logan Paul into a figure 4, and it was really cool seeing Logan sell it. Logan was sitting there screaming, going, chill, Cody, you're going to break my leg. Anyway, Logan would then get back up. He tried to hit a buckshot lariat, missed that into a Cody cutter. So just a lot of cool spots here. One thing that we wanted to note, because you told me to write this down, was that a lot of the last third of the match took place outside the ring,
Mhm.
and Logan broke the 10 count. He
Yes.
went over to the ring and rolled in and out. He broke the 10 count, something that we always mention here on the pod, that there doesn't ever seem to be rules anymore in some of these wrestling matches. So I just wanted to note that. We'll get on to the end of this match because we need to talk about our reactions to it. But anyway, Logan would then hit a frog splash from the ring to the announce table, clean as hell.
Yeah.
I don't get how people hate this guy's ring ability. Anyway, he would then roll Cody into the ring after doing a frog splash to the ring announce table, and then he hit another frog splash on Cody. 1, 2, ooh. I hated that.
Yeah. You mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't like that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's like a super finisher followed by a finisher. I get it's Cody Rhodes, but we got to sell.
There's got to be some limits.
Yeah.
A little bit. I know Cody also hit that Cody cutter on the other announce table previously.
Yeah.
And then, that shot of the frog splash, like Logan up on the top, like 360 drone cam spit prime. Let me just, you said hits the frog splash. I don't think people necessarily understand what that means. Like he nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, just perfect.
Yeah, I'm glad you're pointing that out. I mean, this dude, a 10 out of 10 performance from Logan Paul all the way around.
Yeah. And then, as you said, he hits it perfectly. He hits another one that was, I won't say just as good because that one was so perfect to the outside, but another great frog splash.
Yeah.
And you get a 2 count. I understand you want Cody to win, but like you said, there's got to be a line drawn somewhere.
I agree. Wrestling is all about maintaining some sort of realism in line within the wrestling parameters that equals too much damage taken. And I feel like a super frog splash to an announce table and then immediately followed up by one in the ring, that should be a win, but whatever, they'll let it go. Match continued very shortly. Ends in a ref bump. Ref bump, boom, ref's down. And we're all sitting here at home going, this is actually getting interesting. Not what we expected at this point in the match. And Cody Rhodes turns from the ref bump. He's looking at the ref, who's laying toward the ropes. Cody turns around. Logan Paul low blows him right in the American Nightmares. I mean, just square, right? And after that, the ref is now aware of life. He's looking. He's ready to count a 3. And Logan's loading up his big punch, whatever he calls it. I don't know what he calls it. I call it the prime punch.
I think that's better than what it's. I think it's just like a knockout punch.
Hey, we're going to call it the prime punch.
Prime punch is solid.
He's loading it up, and we're all going, oh my God. Like Cody is not looking like he's about to reverse this thing. And he goes, and the Saudi ring announcer, Mr. Ibrahim, there he is. No way this guy would get involved in such a big time match on the main event. Oh no, there he is. He pulls Logan's foot out from underneath him. Logan falls. He goes, and he says this, who the hell is this guy? Yeah, we were all thinking that, all of us around the world, even in Saudi probably. Logan said we were all thinking. Cody then capitalizes, hits him with 3 crossroads. Doesn't need just one. Hits him with 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. Cody retains. A 10 out of 10 match. Literally, I would say a 10 out of 10 match. 1 out of 10 finish. What was that?
Yeah, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes between the frog splashes, between the comedian getting involved, you make Cody look super strong. He can take anything on. Now all of a sudden he needs help from a comedian to beat Logan Paul, which makes 0 sense. And then you have Cody do the 3 crossroads, which makes Logan look super strong. But those 3 crossroads, man, I felt like I'd maybe reserved a special place for me of like, oh man, that's how he beat Roman. Right. I wanted the 3 to destroy Roman, to dethrone Roman.
Yes.
And I don't want the 3 crossroads to just be a normal finish.
He beat AJ with one at Backlash.
Right.
And that was beautiful. Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. You like, you can't. This may be how, we're obviously in America, so bullshittery has happened with celebrities throughout the years, and maybe this is how people outside of our country have felt over the years. But there's a difference between like, a random celebrity getting involved in a random match and a celebrity getting involved in a main event title match with such great story happening within the match of like, we were all on the edge of our seats.
Yeah.
You, me, and all the non-wrestling fans were all sitting there like, whoa, 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 what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And then this happens. Come on.
Yeah, to have it be such a great match and such build up and story, you didn't need it. And so for it to be kind of that underwhelming finish, I mean, it was just kind of like, oh, that's how it's going to end.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a good build up that it's just like,
Very sour taste.
Yeah. Because now it's just like, I'm not excited to really see. I mean, I guess I'm excited. I'm excited now to see Logan more than I am Cody.
Yeah, I would say it harmed Cody much more than it harmed Logan.
Yeah.
And because you and I love Cody, but I mean, I'm wearing his shirt right now, but like, we're still not under the impression that he's untouchable in terms of I don't personally think he has deserved like a John Cena reign of terror title reign, right? Like he still needs to earn it.
Well, it's funny you say that because when we talk about the no selling, like the table spot and kind of the hulking up that we've talked about previous times.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's earned that per se, but it seems like that's how they're building it up, as like a Super Cena type Cody Rhodes baby face. Like he might be the biggest like super baby face since Cena, admittedly. I mean, yeah, Daniel Bryan had some, but like
he didn't have hulking up. Like, I mean,
no, but he was like a super baby face that everybody loved. But like in terms of like the hulking up, you're never gonna beat this guy baby face. It's probably since Cena. Yeah, honestly,
I completely agree. And yeah, I mean, it just left a sour taste in our mouth. Let there be some sort of line of realism and consistency to the amount of damage a person can take in a wrestling match before they fall. The 2 frog splashes back to back, and then needing 3 crossroads to beat a Logan Paul. That sends the wrong signals the wrong ways. Logan looks much more tough out of this than Cody does. Overall, though, enjoyed King and Queen of the Ring a lot. I mean, only title matches, a lot of meaningful stuff. Oh, title matches / King of the Ring finals matches, you know what I mean? Only meaningful stuff. Great PLA, I think.
Yeah, it was felt kind of almost like an important PLE. I think it's important that they brought the King and Queen of the Rings to the Saudi show for the finals, because in previous years those Saudi shows kind of have felt like, I don't really need to watch this. But I know they've had King of the Ring there before, and people are going to get on me for saying that. But they did such a better job this year of building those up that it felt like you had to see them.
Yep.
And then not only did they build those up previously, they delivered on them.
Yep.
I thought those 2 final matches were great. So
yeah. Only thing I'll say is that through Backlash and King and Queen of the Ring, we have both had the same predictions for both shows, and we've been right 100% of the time. So hopefully, I think Clash of the Castles the next one.
Yeah, June 15th.
Yeah, Clash of the Castles the next one. Hopefully, maybe they throw us some curveballs there. But overall, good show.
Yeah, good show.
Which brings us to one last
here we
segment.
Go. One last segment.
Fantasy match of the ring of the week, brought to you by Mr. Brandon this week.
It makes it sound like I'm a sponsor. I'm not a sponsor.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to sponsor this, you let us know.
Yeah. At COD WrestlePod.
So we'll go ahead. We'll get into the fantasy matchup. It's a matchup that I think most wrestling fans have had, and they have their debate, and maybe they have this side. Admittedly, I went Hogan and Cena previously.
Yep.
And I got a lot of like, oh, well, that'd be a pretty terrible fantasy match.
It would be.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. So we're going to flip it. We're going to go from a terrible wrestling match to maybe the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Ooh. Can I guess who you're going to pick?
Yeah.
Can you give me?
I'm not giving you anything.
No. Can I just ask if current wrestlers are fighting non-current wrestlers? That's the bare bones of what.
I'll even go one step further. That based off of our King of the Ring top 5 lists, both of these men have won King of the Ring.
So Bret Hart is one of them. And is there a recent King of the Ring within my memory that is Bret Hart and Gunther?
That's a great. That would be great. That would be great. Don't get me wrong. Mabel, obviously.
Oh, of course.
No, we're going to go with the Canadian superstar Bret Hart versus an American hero, Kurt Angle.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Hey, I always tell you this. We need a time and a place.
We need a time and a place, and I get it. And so I think that maybe plays into a little bit because
and by time I mean what
years
version of the character and where.
Well, I think it's pretty easy with Bret Hart. You're not picking 98. Bill Goldberg ended my career. Bret Hart. You're taking prime peak like 94, 93, 95, like new gen Bret Hart. In terms of Angle, it's tough to kind of decide that because I think Angle kind of had a renaissance. Angle admittedly was great in WWE, and then he was great as Perk Angle in TNA. But I think specifically for this fantasy matchup, I want to take that prime, like new gen Bret Hart versus that King of the Ring, like, what is that? 05?
Kurt Angle? If you're giving me that Kurt Angle, then I'm
And in terms of like a venue, I mean, I even fought back and forth in terms of stipulation. I thought to myself,
Iron Man match.
I thought to myself, hey, maybe you take it from like instead of a 60 Iron Man, maybe you take it to a 30-minute Iron Man. But maybe you do just a submission Iron Man. Like maybe you just do like
Bret had more submissions than
Bret had more submissions, but at the same time, like I feel like they're both so technical. Like you're just like
100%
that you could figure something out. So yeah, give me 94 Bret Hart versus 2005 Kurt Angle. Who do you have? And just for the fun, we'll do SummerSlam. Why not? We'll pick a venue. It's tough. This is why earlier today when I said I have a match that I don't know which way I'm going to go, I genuinely do not know which side of it I'm going to go. I just want to see the match.
05 Kurt. In 05,
it's bald Kurt.
He's bald Kurt. He was about to put on, a year later, he would put on his best WrestleMania match of all time against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. He won that match, so WWE was pushing him. 94 Bret Hart was literally in the midst of Bret Hart.
Yeah, he was in the midst of Bret Hart. He did feud with Owen. He feud with Owen. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much. I mean that's still peak Bret Hart.
Man, what's hard here is that in 05 WWE was bold enough to give guys wins. That's around the time where they were going to tell, no, it wasn't. Well, yeah, it was. It was sort of around the time where where Vince gave Stone Cold a call and was like, hey, I'm going to put Brock Lesnar over you tonight.
Yeah.
So
a little bit after, but yeah.
Yeah, a little bit after, a couple years after. But it was generally
the same sentiment, yeah.
God, that's tough. This is the first one I've really had to think on.
Yeah.
I'd probably, my gut says they'd give 94 Bret Hart the win here. That no matter what stipulation, 94 Bret Hart was definitely more over than Kurt Angle ever was over. And that's what I'm going to lean into here. I'm not saying that Kurt isn't as good as Bret in the ring. I'm not saying that Kurt didn't, I'm not comparing careers here, but I'm saying at the time, Bret Hart was the Bret Hart that, 56-year-old virgins wearing his black and pink shirts and his sunglasses, and they still put gel in or they still wet their hair before they go to wrestling events. That's who they look up to as their god. And it was for a reason. And it was because he was so over.
Yeah. 94 Bret, I believe. I don't fact check me if I'm wrong. I know Bret had the title in like 92.
Yeah.
And I believe 93. So I don't think he had it in 94. So it's not like super mega.
No, you're right. You're right. But it was still Bret Hart.
Still Bret Hart.
It was still Bret Hart. And I just think and from that, 05 Kurt Angle, he was completely out of the title scene at that point. So Bret Hart.
Yeah, and that makes me think maybe with Kurt, maybe with those demons we've talked about before, maybe he was battling those, and maybe why that's not why he wasn't in the title scene. I mean, that Kurt Angle, though, you could really pick any year other than the last WWE run with the Baron Corbin stuff where he's too old.
Yeah.
You could put Kurt in there with anybody.
Yeah.
I wanted to take the top two guys that maybe have ever done it in a ring before. You know, as we talk fantasy matchups, I went on the internet and I was like, oh, let me just see what maybe some people think. Everybody agrees. Like, I don't know which way this would go, but I would love to see this match.
Well, yeah.
So, I mean, it's nice to see something that's focused on the wrestling.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And I think, well, I guess my choice would probably be Bret Hart as well. I'm going to go from a different angle, though. You took the Bret Hart is super over, mega ultra star. I'm going to take it as Bret Hart. It was really tough for him to handle losses. So Kurt can handle a loss a little bit better, and Kurt can play that kind of crybaby, whiny heel.
Yeah, Kurt could play a loss better than anybody.
He could play that really well. So that's probably my pick. In terms of the match, I mean, that's a 5-star, 6-star. You give me 30 minutes. You
Did
carve
Kurt
it
ever
out.
tap out?
That's
not in my memory.
I don't know.
Did Kurt do an I Quit match with Cena? I don't think so. I'm getting my rivalries match up.
That's a great question.
A submission match between the two of them would be that would be the doozy of a question where I wouldn't even know where to give you. I mean,
yeah.
But if you're just talking wrestling match, Bret Hart's probably gonna get the win here.
Yeah, and submission, I decided not to do, I guess, submission because I didn't want to limit it to the submission, even though if you're going to limit it, those are the guys to limit it to. But just to see the in-ring of that, you probably get some sort of ankle lock sharpshooter. Bret puts on the ankle. Like somehow, some way, they're going to figure out a way to do both at the same time or something. I don't know. But you sign me up for that.
Yeah, that's a great fantasy match. That was the first time I've really had to think so far in our matchups here. Anyway,
it's better than the Hogan Cena one. So
not better than the Yeet Lights versus the Yes Chant though. We'll let the fans decide. Anyway, great 48 hours of wrestling here. We're literally filming this right after King of the Ring, so it's been a lot of wrestling through our eyes and brains in the last 48 hours. We love to do it. We love to be here. But speaking of that, follow us on everything social media, your TikTok, your Twitter, your Instagram, your whatever you want at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod, and listen to us wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple, etc. You know what I mean? I am Will. That is Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time. We're out. Peace.